What is up, Chop Dojo? My name is Travis. I'm the Prospect Success Manager here at Common Drummers Academy, and today we're going to be chopping out on the FLAM using Holly Channell's All You Need exercise we refer to as fast passage. We're going to keep our grounding tempo at 50 beats per minute as we go through our rhythmic options using today's rudiment, the FLAM. If you're new to FLAMs, it is basically one loud note up here with my stick height and one soft note down here with my stick height. So one high note, one low note. And when you drop them both at the same time, that becomes the FLAM. So today we're going to alternate our FLAMs. I'll have first my right hand playing the high note, and then my left hand will follow and play the high note. So we'll call these alternating FLAMs, making sure we're hitting right and left. All right, here we go. We'll start out at quarter notes in 3, 2, 1. Making sure that we start each stick up here and the corresponding FLAM down here, right? Making sure I'm relaxed in my shoulders, not really moving my arms. This is all coming from my wrist and my fulcrum. Keeping it on quarter notes, making sure we have total control of our hands changing responsibilities. My first hand starts as the primary note, the big note, and then the next note it plays, it becomes the soft note. Only thing I'm manipulating is my fulcrum. Making sure we're not tensing up. Making sure we're dropping both at the same time naturally. We don't need to force this. The low note should just naturally fall a little bit and hit the drum a little bit before the primary note. But they're both just dropping. From my wrist. We use FLAMs to thicken up some of our passages and phrases. Instead of playing a normal accent or a normal high note, we put a FLAM on it. It gives it a little more thickness, a little more flavor or spice to your phrase. Now we'll move on to eighth notes here soon. The responsibilities stay the same in each hand, okay? And make sure to keep the same stick height that you have now between your hands. Now that we move to eighth notes, okay? I'm going to subdivide eighth notes real quick. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 3 and it'll be right, left, right, left, right, left, okay? Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Did you change anything in your fulcrum, in your body? Tension check in your shoulders, in your arms, elbows. My sticks are still coming up. Now each of my right flams plays on the downbeat with the metronome, right? And my left hands will be playing every offbeat, every syncopation. And, which is a great way to thicken up the sound on your eighth notes and on your syncopation, right? Stay here for a bit and really just sit with the mechanics of having to start up and come back up with these grace notes involved now, right? We're still rebounding even though we're playing flams, right? We're not aggressively hitting the drum. I'm just letting these fall, and once it's done being the grace note, it comes back up. And my fulcrum helps me do that, right? These sound great around the kit as well between instruments. You don't just have to flam on one drum, right? You can play a flam between your snare drum and your floor tom, a flam between your high tom and your floor tom, whatever you want. Just as long as it's intentional. We don't want accidental flams, right? We want intentional flams, which is what we're working on right now, manipulating our fulcrum and our rebound for an intentional flam, right? Tension check. Can you still feel the stick coming back up, even though it's coming back up from its low height? I'm not really forcing the stick to come back up. My wrist is helping it come back up a little bit, but it's really the fulcrum and the energy that is still in the stick, even when it's being the low note or the grace note, right? It's also important to note that flams aren't always accented. They can be nice and intricate and delicate as well. It's not always a loud, bombastic sound. As long as your sticks are starting at different heights from each other and dropping at the same time, it's still a flam, okay? We're working on big open flams today to understand the concept and to chop out. But flams are not all accents. That's an important note. How we feeling, guys? Don't forget to keep breathing. All right, now we're going to go up to triplets, eighth note triplets. So each of our hands has a chance to start a beat of flams. Does that make sense? Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Does that make sense? All right, here we go. Eighth note triplets, still alternating our flams. In 3, 2, 1. Did you change anything? Fulcrum? Shoulders? Did we start using our arm now that this is faster? Everything needs to stay the same. The stick still comes back up, even though it's coming from the grace note, right? We're not smashing down into the drum. My wrist is just leaning and letting the stick meet the drum. More pip in the step now, right? But didn't change anything in my fulcrum either. Should feel nice and round. For triplets, it really helps to rebound, to keep that round feeling. Only manipulating my fulcrum here. Check your shoulders. Not trying to move my arms. Really, it's just my wrist and my fulcrum. Right? Mostly my fulcrum though. Keeping my weight in my hips. Especially as it gets faster. Trying to keep my weight in my hips and not move my arms. Really good to get all of the flams on every possible partial of the triplet, again talking syncopation, familiarizing with how the FLAM feels on all of these different beats. Notice how I keep my grace notes low. That's the hardest part of the FLAM right there, is keeping that grace note low, because it's about to come back up, right? But if it's not low, then I'm not playing a FLAM. So it has to be nice and low. Hardest part of FLAMs right there. So practice in a mirror, videotape yourself, watch other fantastic drummers, and notice how low we can keep our grace notes when we're playing FLAMs. All right, this next rhythm's not for the weak. We're gonna go up to 16th notes. It's going to feel maybe unfamiliar or fast to play FLAMs this quickly, but it's a great skill to learn, to hone in your strokes. That's a great reason to practice FLAMs. Learning how to keep that grace note low, but also have our high primary note. It's fantastic work for your control. Fulcrum control, wrist control, but it might be a little uncomfortable, okay? All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oof. Still trying to come all the way up and keep that grace note down. Not too bad, right? This is the chop out right here. Both hands working, right? Both hands moving straight up and down. The up is really from my fulcrum. The down's just my wrist, letting the stick move. How are we doing? It's okay to feel a little chopped. Not pain, no burning or pain sensations, but it's okay to feel muscularly tired. We've been using both of our hands, both of our sticks equally. How's your grace notes looking? Are your grace notes still low? One practice tip for FLAMs to get them to this speed or faster. You can also practice them on different surfaces. Right hand, left hand, each on a different surface. And then you can really isolate and see, am I dropping that big note? And then is the little note coming back up to where the big note was, right? Great way to isolate that. Fantastic way to isolate that. So just hang on with me a little bit longer with these 16th notes. Letting the sticks come back up. Tension check. How are we feeling? We'll go back down to triplets here in a minute. Check your grace notes. Are they still low? Ooh. All right, we're gonna start going back down to triplets. Ready? Don't change anything. In 3, 2, 1. Whew. Still have tension in my fulcrum. Not tension, but pressure in my fulcrum. Just letting my wrist drop. Now at a slower rate, right? Whew. Now these 8th note flams, maybe they once felt fast, hopefully don't feel so fast anymore. Check the grace notes, are they still low? The grace note doesn't get bigger just because the rhythm does. The grace note stays the same, nice and low to the drum. Here soon we'll go back down to 8ths. And we don't want to change anything. We're going to keep our grace notes low, primary notes up high, stick coming back up all by itself. Are you ready? Three, 2, 1. Woo. These should feel like a piece of cake now, right? Making sure the grace notes are still low. with our eighth notes for a bit to really check tension in your body. Check how your hands feel, how your arms feel, back, everything. Have you held tension anywhere while going up the rhythmic tree? Still allowing the low note, my grace note, it's coming back up. I'm just guiding it up, right? But my fulcrum's helping me let it back up, all on its own, just with a little guide. Home stretch here, don't quit. Keep that fulcrum pressurized. All right, we'll get ready to go back to quarter notes. Remember, at the slow speeds, an opportunity to change nothing from here, right? Keeping the grace notes low and the primary notes high. Letting the grace note rise to become that primary note, right? Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Whew. Now that we're nice and slow, really assess the height difference between my primary hand and my grace note hand. Just letting my wrist drop. I'm not beating the drum now that we're slow. So this is just one way to practice the FLAM, alternating. But there's so many different rudiments with FLAMs on them. I just suggest practicing the alternating FLAM first before getting into the other FLAMmed rudiments, okay? Take a deep breath in. Let it out. Almost done here. All right. 3, 2, 1. All righty. Thanks for chopping out with us. Leave your thoughts down in the comments section. How did chopping out the FLAM work for you today? What's your experience with FLAMs? And I'll catch you next time. Peace.